So, as you know, Donald Trump took a little visit to Kenosha yesterday. Some people agree with it. Some people disagree with it. I don't think he did any good by going there. But with that being said, you can make your own decisions for yourself.
You know, he actually ended up giving $47 million to the city right after that. $4 million to business owners, $42 million to the city for transportation and various things. So that I would consider that good. I would consider helping small business owners like the car dealership, car source that had 137 cars damaged. I would say that's good.
Did you know that the governor of Wisconsin also announced loans for business owners? But you don't bring that up. Why is that?
I wasn't even aware of that. I'm glad.
Okay.
I don't know how that's I don't know how that's relevant, Brian.
Okay.
How is that relevant? Yeah. How is it relevant to Donald Trump not doing any good when you bring with the governor of Wisconsin because you want to counter what I said? It's not relevant.
Okay, well, in your mind, it's not relevant.
Why would I bring up the governor of Wisconsin when you say Donald Trump didn't do any good? I say why he did do good, and suddenly, well, you didn't bring up the governor of Wisconsin, therefore what you said is invalidated.
First of all, you're not listening.
I'm totally listening
to
you,
you're
Brian.
not, because to start, first of all, he could have given money to business loans without a visit.
And he could have actually just given all the National Guard support that was requested instead of 25%. And there's a good chance that none of this will be taking place because ever since National Guard support did show up in Kenosha, there have been no riots, no looting, no vandalism, no arson, and no violence.
So if you notice, when I started this segment, I said some people agree, some people disagree. When I say something,
clearly I disagree.
Okay, well, when I say something like that, there's a reason for it because I don't want to get into a debate with you because that's not really what we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Now, if I started the segment and I said, well, here's why I think Donald Trump shouldn't have gone there, and then you bring that up, okay, that's very fair. But I'm saying there's people that agree and there's people that disagree, and I'm trying to move on to the story.
And I responded to you saying that he didn't do any good. That's what I responded to.
Well, I didn't say that.
You did.
What I did say was I don't think personally his trip there did good. Now, that's different than, financial stuff or policy stuff. What I said is his trip, you're not listening to my words, his trip there didn't do any good for anybody. Now, the reason why there's controversy that goes into this trip, of course. You could talk about policy, you could talk about money and something he put in place. I'm specifically talking about him getting on a plane and going there for a few hours and then leaving. Just like the trip he took to Las Vegas. After the October 1 shooting, he spent about 30 to 45 minutes and then left. It did no good, and it was a waste of taxpayer money. Now, he took a visit, and the Trump administration reached out to this Kenosha business owner. He is the owner of a camera shop right there that has been vandalized and burned and all this. It's just some horrible stuff. It's terrible. So Tom Graham's century-old camera shop, it burned down to the ground a week ago during the unrest that took place in Kenosha. The president's administration reached out to him because they wanted to speak with him. They wanted to request to be a part of his tour of damage. Instead, they decided to interview the former owner of the shop. Why? Because the owner of the shop didn't want him there. The owner of the shop specifically said that he thought that he didn't, it was a photo op and he didn't want to be a part of it and he didn't want to be a part of the political thing. So I want you to listen to this story because it's amazing to me what the Trump administration actually did. This is the Kenosha man who lost his camera shop in riots during turned down a visit by Trump. But to no surprise, he saw Donald Trump on TV with the former owner of the shop. This is a local Channel 4 Milwaukee news station who covered this story. Have a listen to this.
Tom Graham has owned Rohde's Camera Shop for the past 8 years when he bought the business from the Rohde family, and he's worked here for more than 4 decades. But that all came to an end last Monday when the building went up in flames.
So many emotions at one time.
Tom says he got a call Monday from the White House asking if he'd join the president on a tour that would showcase his leveled business, but Tom immediately declined.
I think everything he does turns into a circus, and I just didn't want to be involved in it.
But to Tom's surprise, he watched on TV as the president showed up with the store's former owner, and President Trump made it seem like the store was still his.
John Rohde III, owner of Rohde's Camera Shop.
Former owner John Rohde commended President Trump's response to the Kenosha unrest.
Appreciate President Trump coming today. Everybody here does. We're so thankful that we got the federal troops in because once they got here, things did calm down quite a bit.
A day early, we would have saved your store. 1 day early.
Tom says the White House and the former owner had no business representing his store in a political fashion. What would your message be to President Trump?
Do your job. I think he needs to bring this country together rather than divide it.
First of all, I like that part where Donald Trump is speaking to the former owner. It's not even his store. And he goes, we could have saved your store. It's not even your store. It's not even a store, you dummy. God, can you imagine if you own a store in that area, you're the owner, and the Trump administration reaches out to you and you say, listen, I respectfully, I don't want to meet the president. I don't want him there. And you have a respectful conversation. And then hours later or a day later, you see the former owner of the store in front of your store, representing your store with the president. I mean, that would drive me nuts.
That's exactly right.
Thank you, Mr. McCloskey.
He really can't control that, though, Brian. I mean, that store was going to be videotaped and photographed no matter what. He wasn't going to stop the media from if Trump was there with the camera crew, they were going to get that store no matter what.
Okay, so
and the Rohde family. This guy was the third roadie, so for 92 years, the family clearly started and built this business, and then they sold it to this particular gentleman. I understand where he's coming from in the fact that he doesn't want to make it political, but you're making it seem like this was not going to be recorded or photographed. That is 100% not the case, Brian.
You can record and you can photograph all you want.
Okay.
That is not my issue. My issue is very, very simple.
Your issue is him saying that he owned the store?
First of all.
Because he did own the store.
Okay, he doesn't own the store now.
Did he say current owner?
Yes.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He didn't say current owner.
I don't want to play the 1 minute clip again.
He said John Rohde, the third owner.
Okay, first of all, I heard what Donald Trump said.
I heard it too.
And he said, your store. We could have saved your store. That is misrepresentation. It's not his store. In fact, the owner of the store said he did not want to meet with Trump and he didn't want to make it into a photo op.
And he didn't.
And that's exactly what it was.
He didn't meet with Trump at all.
Okay.
But either way, it was going to be a photo op. It was going to be. There was going to be a video.
All right.
It was going to be advertised and promoted. No matter what, it was going to happen, Brian.
So you're okay with that.
If President Trump was there, and that
calm down quite a bit.
A day early, we would have saved your store.
Funny, I just thought I heard the president of the United States say your store.
Did he say your or the?
No, your store. We just played. Do we have to play it a third time for you now?
I'm really indifferent to it, Brian. That's on you.
Okay, well,
I'm totally fine with whatever.
He said, okay.
I'm just saying this was unavoidable. There's no way that this particular store was not going to be videotaped and photographed.
Because they're definitely the only store.
No matter how much. Well, yeah, they're one of. I mean, obviously, if the store's been there for 100 years, and it's a staple of the community.
Right. So let's backtrack.
It's going to be factored in.
Okay, I get it.
And like Nicole from Kenosha told us last week, 90% of the entire downtown was basically adversely affected by this. That's a pretty big deal.
Okay, so let's
for a city with only 100,000 people.
Okay, so let's backtrack for a second.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. You just said, quote, it is unavoidable.
Yep.
So in your personal opinion, it was unavoidable when the president's administration reaches out to the owner of the store and the owner of the store says, don't really want to be a part of this, and then they decide to reach out to the former owner of the store. You're telling me that was unavoidable and they couldn't just pick another store. Instead, they speak to a guy who used to own the store, and you see the president of the United States saying, we could have saved your store. You know, if we were here, blah, 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 blah. You're telling me that is unavoidable, quote?
They spoke to a guy whose family started the store and whose family has owned the store for 92% of its existence.
So unavoidable.
It's been around for 100 years. This guy bought it 8 years ago.
But you're not answering my question.
This guy's family started and built that store in Kenosha, Wisconsin. You're right. They don't own the store. You're totally right at that point. So maybe the owner can sue the former owner. I guess that's possible. What I'm saying is What I'm saying is what's unavoidable is that store getting coverage, either photographed or video coverage, because
that's not what I'm talking about.
That's why that's why Trump went out there.
That's not what I'm talking
Was
about.
to showcase how bad what happened. And you know what? He was totally rightful doing it as well, because Tony Evers had every opportunity to have the National Guard come out. The Kenosha Police Department requested at least 500. He sent 125.
We're not talking about that.
He didn't do what he was asked to do. And that's why there was so much damage, Brian, because there was
the subject again.
There was no one to stop them from causing this carnage in the name of what was a terrible human being sex offender who was wielding a knife.
Again, you brought up like a number of things that I've literally
That's fine.
Again, you brought up literally a couple of things that literally have absolutely nothing to do with what we were just talking about. So I'm not even going to entertain that. You said it was unavoidable, and I'm telling you it was absolutely avoidable. Simple.